was almost stuck by needles on 3 different occasions. I had a partner I worked with who was actually stuck by a needle. He's a married guy with 3 kids, and his whole life could possibly change as a result of it.
Over the last several years, consistently have between 12 and 16 incidents per year where officers are subjected to needle sticks in the field. Officers who are subjected to needle sticks are at an increased risk of acquiring HIV, but more commonly hepatitis C.
If you look at those people who had hepatitis B and had used a needle and then somebody else got stuck with it, the risk of transmission between 1 and 31%. For hepatitis C, it's significantly less, generally less than 2%. And for HIV, it's generally less than 1%.
The numbers are not huge, but the consequences potentially are.
Hey, boss man. You all right? You don't look good. You sound sick, man. In Central, we have a saying, take your time. Okay. We have nothing but time. It's not worth rushing, because you want to get home on time or whatever. Take your time. That's the motto.
Broken glass, a broken crack pipe, razors, weapons, knives. We want to make sure our law enforcement officials aren't sticking their hands in places where it's going to put their own health at risk.
Before you start searching them, stop for a second and ask them if they have anything sharp or anything pokey or any needles that are in their pockets, because many times, in fact most times, they'll tell you.
Also, searches not just of people but of locations, reaching under a car seat, for example, or under a cushion. Don't go sticking your hand somewhere that you haven't seen without illumination, for example.
Spider crawls when you're searching somebody and you do this. Well, working Central Division, you do this, you'll get stuck. So kind of like just really slowly running your hand. Patting is a good thing. Just kind of like before I go in somebody's pocket, I pat. If I feel like something like a long, boom, that sets off alarm bells in my mind. Obviously, I open up the pocket and I look inside before I stick my hand in. If I work night, I'm going to pull out my flashlight.
The protocol for dealing with dirty syringes in the field is to dispose of them in the sharps container or other biohazard device. We tell officers never to re-cork or recap a needle. That's a common way of getting stuck.
Oh man, I was off a couple days. He felt what he thought was a pin and then stuck his hand in the pocket to go grab it, and that's when he got poked because the needle was bent this way and it caught him, but he turned white. Immediately got on the phone and he looked like he wanted to cry.
You don't want to be, at the moment of crisis, be figuring out what you should do. Know and follow your own department's protocol. The department does recommend that field employees are vaccinated for tetanus as well as for hepatitis B. We recommend that you cleanse the affected area right away. Notify a supervisor while you clean up and change clothes and all that. Have your partner make the notifications. Get medical help within the first 2 hours.
Get an HIV test. They can have access to what's called post-exposure prophylaxis that have been shown effective at stopping new infections. We don't want to get to the point where an officer is already that much at risk before they take some action. We can be a little more proactive in making sure that there are fewer and fewer dirty needles around. How do you do that? The most successful strategy we've had for reducing the number of dirty needles on the streets has clearly been needle exchange.
Needle exchange really helps reduce law enforcement's risk of being stuck by a dirty needle because there are fewer dirty needles laying around.
A police officer is less likely to be stuck with a contaminated needle if in fact these things are being used once and then disposed of properly.
Their whole purpose is to reduce the risk of HIV, and that's a noble cause in my opinion. But at the same time, you kind of enable the activity. What's the difference if you stop them from getting HIV with a clean needle on this particular day, then that same day they take that clean needle, inject themselves with heroin, overdose in a porta potty? What have you done?
We live in a society, we have a lot of contact with each other, family members, health workers, police officers. We're all constantly coming into contact with each other. As we reduce the risk of infection to a drug user, for example, there are benefits that accrue to the rest of us.
Homeless healthcare now has become an integrated drug treatment program that services the homeless population of Los Angeles. We'll usually have somebody here that will stand here and count the used syringes. And then there's a sharps container down here. Catches them.
The City of Los Angeles' needle exchange program aims for a one-to-one exchange. The goal is if you bring 10 needles in, you'll walk out with 10 clean needles. Our needle exchange sites are very comprehensive. We not only provide clean needles, they also provide HIV and/or hepatitis C testing.
Anything else we can do for you today?
Do you guys ever refer people to drug programs?
We first have to get them into a detox, then we can put them into treatment.
And do you guys also have medical kind of facilities here?
This is the medical room here. The whole thing is centered around healthcare. In the HIV prevention, the wound care services. There's so many people that come through here that cannot access traditional health care.
There are different kinds of needle exchange sites. Some of them are in drug treatment centers, others are based out of clinics, some are outdoors like ours. In a lot of instances, we're the only point of contact for people who use our services with other services like housing services or drug treatment, detox programs, legal help, medical help.
The first time I heard about it was on the radio, and as a policeman and a law enforcement kind of guy, my first reaction was, oh heck no, this is a bad idea. You're just encouraging people to use drugs, you're making it easier for drug addicts to maintain their addiction. Over the years, and as I talked to the folks from the Needle Exchange, and as I talked to our officers, I think I've come to realize that the Needle Exchange programs are actually helpful in preventing AIDS, preventing HIV, preventing hepatitis, and hopefully preventing officers from